Crater Lake has a long history. From the Klamath Indian legends to the early explorers to today's scientific studies of the lake. The knowledge from studying and understanding the cultural history as well as the origins of Crater Lake are crucial to keeping the tradition of Crater Lake's unique past alive for appreciation. Now we're going to start with the Klamath Indian legends. But first, we want to inform you when Crater Lake was formed. Crater Lake was once a 12,000-foot mountain that around 7,700 years ago blew its top off. And since then, Wizard Island has the only remnant of the volcano. This is the last eruption 7,700 years ago, which deposited an ash layer about 30 times wider and larger than Mount St. Helens 1980 eruption, putting this volcanic explosion somewhere in the VEI 6 plus range. Now let's get on with the legends. Crater Lake was a place of mystery to the Klamath Indians. The Klamath Indians must have lived in the region as early as 7,700 years ago because artifacts such as obsidian and other tools, spear throwers and moccasins, have been found beneath the Mazama ash layer. The Mazama ash layer is the ash layer deposited during the eruption that formed Crater Lake. The Klamath Indians describe a catastrophic eruption of Mount Mazama and the creation of Crater Lake in one of their legends. Their legend of a raging war between two great volcanoes, Mount Mazama and Mount Shasta, parallels the geologic history of Crater Lake and the current nomenclature. Now, according to the Indians, the Klamath, the spirits of the earth and sky often came and talked with the people. Lao was the spirit of the below world, who lived beneath Lao Yaina, today known as Mount Mazama, which is now missing. And this is the only depiction of Lao I could find. Kind of an evil creature. Skell was the spirit of above world, and Lao often came up and stood on top of Lao Yaina. And his head would touch the stars near the home of Skell. There was no lake then, just a hole through which Lao passed to see the outside world. And it was probably the top of the mountain, Mount Mazama, and the caldera up there. So the caldera on the top of the mountain that once was there, which is now missing because Crater Lake is there, is what we're talking about. So very interesting legend so far. So as I said, there was no lake then, just a hole through which Lao passed to see the outside world. Now one day, Lao saw Loha, the daughter of the Klamath Indian chief, and fell in love with her beauty. Well, she rejected him because he was ugly and was from the below world. Well, Lao got angry and swore that he would take revenge on her people. He tried to destroy the people with the curse of fire. The Klamath Indian chief sought help from Skell. Skell descended from the sky to the top of Mount Shasta. Skell and Lao were thundering and trembling the earth, hurling red-hot rocks back and forth to each other, from Mount Shasta to Mount Mazama, causing great landslides, and a terrible darkness spread over the area for days. Now all spirits of the earth and sky took part in this battle, creating intense fear among the people. Attempting to calm the ferocious volcano gods and to make up for the sins of the tribe, 2 medicine men offered to sacrifice themselves and jumped in the pit of the below world, directly into the volcano. Impressed By their heroic sacrifice, Skell fought even harder, and he finally defeated Lao, driving Lao deep down into the below world. He collapsed the top of Mount Mazama to imprison Lao forever beneath the world. Skell wanted peace and tranquility to cover up this dark pit, so he filled it with beautiful blue water, which is how the first explorers explained Crater Lake when they first discovered it. And here you can see a depiction of what was once Mount Mazama and now what is currently Crater Lake and Wizard Island. And so 7,700 years ago, a VEI 6 or 7 explosion removed the entire mountain completely. And Wizard Island is a more recent feature that developed since then. Now, the beauty of this legend and all the scientific papers and everything we talked about is it's all corroborated by the science. We've literally looked at the ash layer. And here we can see a geologist pointing to that exact Mazama ash. And also the fact that it was so recent. This is a very catastrophic eruption. It would have changed the temperature on planet Earth for several years and been quite catastrophic. Plus, the legend talks about Mount Shasta erupting at the same time, and it probably did. Mount Shasta's been erupting every several hundred years for thousands of years, since the Younger Dryas. Mount Shasta is one of the most active volcanoes in this region during the Holocene. And thankfully, Crater Lake, Mount Mazama, is not that active because it knows how to blow its top. But let's talk about the early explorers. John Wesley Hillman, Henry Klippel, and Isaac Skeeters were in search of the legendary Lost Cabin, the Lost Cabin treasure, or the Lost Cabin gold mine, when they came upon the lake by accident on June 12, 1853. Hillman reported that it was the bluest lake he had ever seen, ever. And Skeeters called it Deep Blue Lake. Well, in 1862, Chauncey Nye and his partner of prospectors also came upon the lake. And this is 9 years later. Nye wrote the first published article about the lake stating the waters were of a deeply blue color, causing us to name it Blue Lake. The lake was later rediscovered for a third time by the white man on August 1st, 1865, 13 years after the first discovery, by two hunters working with road crews from Fort Klamath. Sergeant Orson Stearns and several others came to see the now legendary lake. Stearns was the first non-Native American to climb down into the caldera and reach the shore of Crater Lake in 1865. Captain F.B. Sprague soon joined him and suggested the name Lake Majesty because it is beyond majestic. Let's just take a pan here and take a look at Crater Lake and Wizard Island in the winter. Fantastic. Now, in July of 1869, newspaper editor Jim Sutton and several others were the first to lower a canvas boat to the lake. Despite the many other names for this lake, Jim Sutton finally named it Crater Lake for the crater on top of Wizard Island. In his article, he described his exploration inside the lake. Now, William Gladstone Steele is credited with the founding of Crater Lake National Park. This man was fascinated with and enchanted with the beauty of Crater Lake when he first learned of it. And it was from a newspaper that was wrapped around his lunch when he was just a schoolboy. His first glimpse of this exquisite beauty And that was back in 1885. It inspired him to devote his life and fortune to set aside the scenery for all of us to enjoy. Absolutely amazing. Now, after 17 years of dedication and hard work, his dream came true when President Theodore Roosevelt signed the bill on May 22nd, 1902. Who knew? To establish Crater Lake as the nation's 6th national park. The U.S. Geologic Survey has an early history of involvement with Crater Lake. In 1886, Clarence Dutton conducted a survey using pipe and piano wire. Dutton's soundings recorded a maximum depth of 608 meters, or 1,996 feet. Only a 20-meter difference from the sonar measurements of 589 meters officially recorded in 1959. He was spot on, using a piano wire and a pipe. Ingenuity goes far. And the stories are fascinating, and the lake is beautiful. But the reason we bring up the legend and the story is quite simple. To bring you the facts that large volcanic eruptions in the Cascades have been happening time immemorial. And not only that, they happen more frequently than anyone is well aware of. This entire lake, the entire missing top of this mountain, just blew off 7,000 years ago, which geologically speaking is yesterday. And another event like this is about to happen at any moment. And I'm not here to scare you, I'm here to prepare you. These are the geologic facts of the planet Earth. We have VEI 6 and 7 eruptions every few thousand years, and we are in a major deficit for some big ones. And that's a boom to knowledge. Hope you got something out of the video. We love the multidisciplinary approach where we bring you the legends that corroborate the scientific papers and the historical accounts. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and share this with like-minded people. But most important, be prepared, not scared. An event like this is going to happen in the Cascades soon, and it will be a boom.